Hi there, welcome to another post for Between the Cracks. This time I've chosen The Accidental Time Traveller by Sharon Griffiths. It came out in 2008 and it was probably one of the very first books that I actually bought for my Kindle. Bit ashamed to say it's been on there that long. I'm really interested in reading it. I can remember this one now I've got it out of the archives. Rosie, she steps through a front door, finds herself in a different house, and she's transported back in time. And the tagline, "Life on Mars meets It's a Wonderful Life," in this inventive romantic comedy that looks at what we can learn from the past. So, yeah, I'm still interested. I'm going to read you an excerpt from chapter 1. "You all right, love?" The taxi driver was looking at me oddly as I scrabbled in my bag. Mobile, iPod, notebook, dictaphone, everything but my purse. There it was, right at the bottom, of course. I pulled a tenner out, I think it was a tenner, and pushed it through the window. Just peering in at the driver really hurt my neck. "Here, thanks, keep the change." "Are you sure you're all right?" he asked, swiftly folding the note into his wallet. Maybe it had been a 20. "Yes, fine, but I wasn't, not really, and it got worse." As the taxi roared off, no one likes to hang around the meadows longer than they have to, I stood swaying slightly on the pavement. My head was thumping, my eyes were hurting, and I just couldn't stop shivering. It was one of those Mondays when I swore I would never drink again. Or have a row with Will. Right, no time to think about that at the moment. I tried to get myself together. I was here to do an interview for the news. Mrs. Margaret Turnbull had been one of the first people to move into the meadows when it was built 50 years ago, in the days when it was the promised land. Bit different now. You're lucky to come back and find your car still there. Even luckier if it's still got its wheels. But the news was doing a special supplement to mark its 50th birthday. One of the big TV stations was apparently planning a reality programme where people have to pretend to live in the past, the 1950s house, and rumour had it that was going to be in the meadows too. So I had spent the morning in the dusty little library at the top of the news building, reading through the bound files of yellowing newspapers from the 1950s. Stories of new roads, new houses, flower festivals, pageants, mysterious deaths, and adverts for cigarettes and washing machines, and lots of housewives prancing around in pinnies. A different world. Meanwhile, back in the present, I leant for a moment on the gatepost as my head swam. Tidy gatepost, neat path and pretty garden with tulips, primroses and violets. This was one of the nicer bits of the estate, and a very posh front door showed quite clearly that Mrs. Turnbull had bought her council house. Through the window I could see a grey-haired lady in trousers and sweatshirt, looking up from some knitting, watching out for me. But as I walked up the path I realised something was wrong, very wrong. My eyesight had gone haywire. The flagstones seemed somehow a long way away. It was hard to find them with my feet. Everything was at odd angles. My head was swirling. I wanted to shake it to clear it, but my neck wouldn't work properly. There was a pain in my eyes. This wasn't a hangover. This was something else. I was ill, really ill. I began to panic. I felt as if I was going to fall over. I got to the front door and pushed my hands out in front of me. Somehow I rang the bell. I suddenly wished so strongly that Will and I hadn't argued, that we'd said goodbye that morning with a kiss instead of sitting in the car in strained and sulky silence. I wished. Then everything went black. So there you go. That's my excerpt read for you. I'm still interested in reading it, and I'm glad I've taken it out of my archives. Have you read it? Welcome to leave comments. Thanks for listening.